Okay, in this final video for the Unit 5 test review, this is part 4, and I'm going to do problems 19 through 22 that we wrote on the back. All right, this first one, number 19, it wants you to write an equation of a parabola in vertex form. So basically, we're moving from standard form to vertex form. In order to do that, really, we need to do what's called complete the square. And we did work on this previously. We had an assignment over it. But let me show you how that works. So we're going to, first of all, set it equal to 0 as an equation. Then we are going to take the minus 10 and move it over to the other side, or we're going to cancel, we're going to subtract 10 from both sides of the equation. So we have x squared minus 6x equals negative 10. Now I'm going to take this part of the equation and I'm going to do what's called complete the square. So what we do is we take x squared minus 6x and then we're going to add the square to both sides. And how we come up with the square, this number is always half of the b term and then that number squared. So the way we work that out, it's always half of b, or b divided by 2, squared. Well, in this example, b is negative 6. So I'll just replace that. So we have negative 6 divided by 2 squared. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So negative 3 gets squared, and that equals 9. So we're adding 9 to the left side in order to complete the square. The reason I can do that is because now I know it's a factor of x minus 3 squared. That minus 3 we got from right here. So the factors of 9, that equal negative 6, that's negative 3 and negative 3, and that's where this comes from. But because we added 9 to this side, we also have to add 9 to the other side. So this factor of x minus 3 squared is going to equal negative 1. That's what we get for negative 10 plus 9. Then if we want to write this in our vertex form, we simply bring the negative 1 back over, or we're adding 1 to cancel it on the right side, and we're adding 1 to the left side. So our equation in vertex form is y equals x minus 3 squared plus 1. All right, now let's take a look at these three problems where we're factoring. I wanted to review this problem. We've already done some of this on the review, but this is where we use our X puzzle or our star puzzle. Remember, we always multiply A times C. That's 2 times negative 15, which is negative 30. So we're looking for the factors of negative 30 that equal the B term, which in this one is 7. So now I'm just going to consider the factors of 30. That would be 1 times 30, 2 times 15, and 3 times 10. Actually, we could also do 5 times 6. But if we're looking for factors that can combine to get 7, we're going to have to use 10 and 3. One of them is going to have to be negative, and since we want a positive 7, it's going to be 10 minus 3. When we multiply 10 and negative 3, we get negative 30. When we combine them, we get 7. But remember that we draw this line for our star, and we put it over the A value, which is 2. So we put it over 2x. All right, and then we consider these terms. 2x minus 3 is simplified, so that is one of our factors, 2x minus 3. The other factor, this 10 over 2x, we're going to simplify this. We're going to divide the bottom and the top by the 2, so it's going to be 5 over 1x. So that becomes our other factor, x plus 5. And again, you could check your answer by foiling this, and this is what you would get, okay? All right, and then the rest of this, 21 and 22, these are both called difference of squares. So I'm just going to write that down. These are the difference of squares. And the difference of squares, what we said is if you have a perfect square minus another perfect square, such as a squared minus b squared, you can factor it as a plus b, or the square root of a squared plus b squared times a minus b. So in this one, x squared minus 25, the square root of x squared is x. And the square root of 25 is 5. So what we do is we add those terms in the first binomial and then we subtract them in the second. So we have x plus 5, x minus 5, and that is how we factor x squared minus 25. Here we have 1 minus 16x squared. Again, this is the difference of squares. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 16x squared is 4x. So we'll factor it by adding the square roots, 1 plus 4x, and subtracting 1 minus 4x. All right, and that should be the final review for this test. Please study and be ready for the test.